What about you, Paul? You making any drastic changes in your life?
I made one change, and that was that I decided to tweet about Ricky Gervais in the week.
Oh yeah, and your life was altered forever.
Well, I did some pretty good numbers. Let's be honest. I don't remember why I was compelled to tweet what I did. I think I'd updated the front page of pilcopedia.co.uk because I do the stories at the front page of the website. Let's just see what date I did that on. Yeah, it was February 8th.
I'm pretty sure I recall, because you know what I think it was. We talked about him on the show last week, didn't we?
Yeah. We did. I saw an email about it. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I saw your tweet, I was like, "Oh, he's saying that thing we talked about," and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then I think we may have even talked about him vanity searching, funnily enough. But yeah, I believe that was the impetus for you thinking to tweet that. But go ahead.
So I tweeted out. I believe this was in regards to he appeared on Colbert's show about 2 weeks ago. And okay. Colbert, for those who don't know, Stephen Colbert is very much a Christian man. And Colbert brought up this whole atheist gimmick. And they had a little faux debate about it, during which Ricky Gervais brought up the old, well, if you think about it, I only believe in 2,999 less gods than you do. That old point that he wheels out every fucking 3 days. So I had that fresh in my mind. We talked about it on the podcast, and I don't follow Ricky Gervais on Twitter. FTR, for the record. In fact, I have him muted on Twitter so that other people who, for whatever reason, retweet his inane shite don't show up on my timeline. But since it was in my head, I went manually, typed twitter.com/Ricky Gervais and had a little look, and about 5 or 6 tweets down was, I only believe in 2,999. Let's go. So I said, okay, the drinking game, every time he wheels out this, I'm so sure he thinks is like the cleverest point. Every time he wheels that out, have a little drinky and you'll be on the rack before long, whatever I said.
Yeah.
And probably about an hour or two goes by. I don't even think about it. And then I open Twitter up, just, check the football scores or whatever I use Twitter for mostly. And I have like 6 notifications. I'm like, what is going on? And I have a little look, and it's just people I don't know, like mostly atheist-based Twitter accounts. But I don't see anything from Gervais. So because I've forgotten that I have him. So of course I have him muted. He did reply to me, and I didn't see it until I went on our forum, pilcopedia.co.uk.
Oh, really?
And see that other people had screenshotted and were talking about it. And I went, oh, I hadn't even. Well, obviously, I had realized that he had replied because of all the other replies, but I hadn't noticed his reply until that point. Yeah, and also for the record, I did not write every time at Ricky Gervais says. I had just written the words Ricky Gervais, so I didn't at him. Somehow he still came across it. Sent out a little tweet. He said something like, I had said every time he says, I believe in 2,999 less gods than you do, have a drink. He says something like, oh yeah, and suck a dick every time someone brings up my atheism and you'll be full as well.
Yeah. Don't
really understand what that means, but since 99% of the people who bring up his atheism are him, sounds like he wants a lot of dicks to be sucked, which fair enough. Not against the sucking of
Nothing
penises.
wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with the old sucky. And that's basically the story. That was it. I don't think he deleted the tweet. I believe that's because that's something he's also notorious for, is sending out something like that and then deleting it almost immediately. I don't think he did. And I certainly didn't delete my one. And that was the end of the story. A little brush with fame that I really kind of shrugged my shoulders and went on with my day. I think if this was like 5 years ago and I got a tweet from Ricky Gervais, I would have been kind of, over the moon with it. I was like, oh my God, that's great. But even in the context that he did, I still would have had that thrill of, oh my God, Ricky Gervais tweeted me. But it really wasn't there. I mean, even today I was kind of surprised at how kind of mundane my own reaction to it was. I was like, oh, he tweeted me, all right. Whatever. Not a very good tweet, and also he was vanity searching, or he has some kind of way of
alert.
Yeah. So there you go. That was the big thing of my week, I guess.
Well, I suppose it could be worse. You could have had a worse week, you know.
Yeah, Easter eggs and Ricky Gervais tweets. Not too bad.
So
the irony, by the way, before you go on, the irony is that in my front page Pilcopedia news posts, I've been like super fair to Ricky Gervais. They're all kind of very unbiased, despite how I feel. So there's like the post I put about him being on Colbert was, nice. It was basically advertising the appearance, saying, what happens when a devout Catholic and dedicated atheist go to war in the battleground that is late night comedy talk shows? Quite a civilized debate, really. This is what happened when Stephen Colbert's Late Show welcomed former fat funny man. See, even saying, Ricky, you lost weight. Have you been working out? And blah 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 blah. So maybe I should change that to fat former funny man. And
yes.
See how he deals with that one. Probably another shite tweet. Kiss a lad's bum every time I go to Colbert.
Oh dear. So ill-researched is what you're saying about his tweet game. Not realizing that you're actually the fairest man in the world.
Nah, so I was having a little go. I'm not going to deny that.
Why don't you worship? Here's something you should worship, Gervais: the facts. Right? I thought you were a man of science.
I have a second email from Shane Brennan. That's his nickname now.
Yeah.
Subject: Gervais is a cunt. Succinct, to the point. He says, "Hi Paul, hope you're well. Saw Gervais responding to you on Twitter earlier this week with a retort so embarrassingly unfunny that it made me do a quick Wikipedia search to make sure he actually wrote The Office. I think the thing that irks me the most about him is that he justifies being a condescending little shit by saying things like, 'I love annoying people, it gets a laugh out of me.' But then when people react to his stimuliness, he himself becomes annoyed, so he's completely full of shit in that regard. What happened to him? Did infatuation for The Office blind us from seeing what a toad he is? I'm aware you're probably going to talk about this on the show, so feel free to skip over this question if you feel like. Thanks for taking my email, Shane." Interesting point in the email here. Did infatuation for The Office blind us from seeing what a toad he is? I don't necessarily know that's anything to do with The Office. I think certainly when we used to listen to the XFM shows, for those who don't know, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant, and Carl, the K-Man Pilko, used to host a radio show on a small British radio station called XFM, which is now called Radio X, which is not as good a name, if you ask me.
No.
And we used to listen to those. We have them, the full archives, or at least the fullish archive episodes. And to be honest, the clues are in there. And in my most recent listen through, which was in 2013, 2014, that's the last time I listened to them, I found myself more actively annoyed by Gervais, maybe based on how I feel about him now. And this was like 4 years ago, where I actually sometimes would be wound up by him. Like, some of the things he says are very annoying, but one thing in particular is when he always has a go at Carl, where he's like, "You do nothing, me and Steve are always working." And I always feel like people who have jobs in the, like, not necessarily in the entertainment industry, but especially nowadays, people like YouTubers and stuff who moan about their jobs. I always kind of feel like if you do a job like that you have maybe less of a right to complain about it. Like, you should be more grateful that you have the opportunity to do what you do. So whenever Carl takes a Monday off, they're like, "Me and Steve are always working." And it's like, well, are you though? So what about you? Do you think that infatuation for The Office or any of his other early work hid who he really was, or did he develop into that later?
I think no, because I think we always knew on some level. I think he just got actively worse.
I agree. I think it was that side of his character is what made him funny in a lot of ways, and it's only when he became more famous that he didn't kind of constrain it as much, and so he just turned into an arsehole.
He's very thin-skinned as well.
Yeah, which is ironic because he used to be quite fat-skinned. But
it's ironic because he has this, especially in America, he has this persona of, Gervais, what's he going to say? Who's he going to have a go at? And yet he's like one of the most thin-skinned people in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway,
thank you for your email, Shane. If you want to email us, you can go to ChairShotPodcast.com, click on the email us link at the top left-hand side of the screen, fill out the form, and we will read your emails on the air.